Lisa Carter pressed her face against the small window of the transport ship. The view outside took her breath away. Luna Station hung in space like a giant silver wheel, spinning slowly against the black void. Lights twinkled along its surface, like tiny stars. She had seen pictures before, but nothing prepared her for seeing it with her own eyes. "First time off Earth?" asked the pilot, a friendly man named Captain Ross. His voice crackled through the speaker above her seat. "Yes," Lisa replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't believe I'm really here." The transport ship moved closer to the station. Lisa could see other ships docked along the outer ring. Some were human ships, sleek and silver. Others looked strange and alien. One ship had tentacles instead of landing gear. Another glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Luna Station is the biggest entertainment hub in known space," Captain Ross explained. "They make movies here for audiences across 12 different worlds. Pretty exciting stuff." Lisa nodded, though her stomach felt tight with nerves. She was Earth's most famous actress. She had won every award her planet had to offer. But out here, among the stars, she felt very small. The docking process took 20 minutes. Lisa gathered her single bag and followed Captain Ross through the airlock. The first thing that hit her was the smell. It was clean and metallic, nothing like Earth's air. The second thing was the gravity. It felt lighter here, making her steps bouncy and strange. "Miss Carter?" A tall figure approached them. At first, Lisa thought it was human. Then she noticed the silver skin and the eyes that had no whites, just solid black pupils. "I am Assistant Director Vex. Welcome to Luna Station." Lisa shook the offered hand. The skin felt cold and smooth, like touching metal. "Thank you. I'm excited to be here." Vex's face didn't change expression. Lisa wondered if it could. "Director Kane is waiting on Set 7. Follow me." They walked through corridors filled with beings Lisa had only seen in pictures. A creature with blue fur and 4 arms carried equipment past them. 2 beings that looked like walking trees discussed something in a language that sounded like wind chimes. A group of humans sat at a cafe, but they looked different somehow. Their skin had a pale, almost gray tint. "Those are Martian colonists," Vex explained, noticing her stare. "The low gravity and artificial atmosphere changes humans over time." Lisa felt a chill. Would space change her too? Set 7 was enormous. The ceiling stretched up so high that Lisa couldn't see the top. Cameras floated in the air without any visible support. Lights moved on their own, following some invisible command. In the center stood a recreation of an Earth City street, complete with fake buildings and a fake sky. "Impressive, isn't it?" A voice said behind her. Lisa turned to see a man walking toward them. He was tall and handsome, with dark hair and kind eyes. He moved with the easy confidence of someone comfortable in their own skin. "You must be Lisa Carter," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Jake Morrison. Looks like we're going to be working together." Lisa shook his hand, feeling some of her nervousness fade. His grip was warm and steady. "I've seen your movies." "You're really good," Jake smiled. "Thanks. Same to you. That drama you did last year made me cry like a baby." Before Lisa could respond, a loud voice boomed across the set. "Where are my human actors? We're burning daylight here." A figure approached them from across the set. At first glance, he looked human. But as he got closer, Lisa noticed the differences. His skin had a faint blue tint. His ears were slightly pointed. His eyes were larger than normal and completely green, with no visible pupil. "Director Zephyr Kane," Jake whispered to Lisa. "He's from Centauri Prime." "You must be the Earth woman," Kane said, looking Lisa up and down like she was a piece of equipment. "Smaller than I expected." "And you," he turned to Jake, "try not to disappoint me like the last human male they sent." Lisa felt her cheeks burn. "Excuse me?" Kane waved his hand dismissively. Don't take it personally. Your species is new to galactic cinema. We don't expect much. Around them, the alien crew members watched the exchange with interest. Lisa noticed some of them holding small recording devices. Others whispered among themselves in languages she couldn't understand. Let me explain how this works, Kane continued. This film will be shown on 12 worlds to audiences of different species. Most of them communicate through telepathy or chemical signals. Your primitive emotional displays are quaint but hardly sophisticated. Jake stepped forward. Our emotional displays? Oh yes, Kane said, with a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. The way you humans scrunch up your faces and make noise to show feelings. Very amusing. Some of our audience will find it entertaining in a, how do you say, cute way. Lisa's hands clenched into fists. She had trained for years to perfect her craft. She had studied under the best teachers on Earth, and this alien was calling her work cute? Of course, Kane went on, we don't expect you to understand real artistic expression. Your brains simply aren't complex enough. That's why I've had to write very simple parts for you. Basic emotions only. Happy, sad, angry. Nothing too complicated. The alien crew members made sounds that Lisa realized were laughter. Some pointed small devices at her, recording her reaction. She felt her face grow hot with embarrassment and anger. Now then, Kane clapped his hands together. Let's see what you can do. We'll start with a simple scene. Lisa, you play a human female who is sad because her mate has left her. Jake, you play the mate who is leaving. Very basic stuff. Lisa looked around the set. Dozens of alien eyes watched her, waiting to see the primitive human perform. Some held recording devices. Others whispered comments she couldn't understand but could guess were not kind. Jake caught her eye and gave her a small, encouraging nod. She took a deep breath and walked to her mark on the floor. She was Lisa Carter. She was Earth's best actress. She wouldn't let some arrogant alien director make her feel small. But as she prepared for the scene, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to be put on display like an animal in a zoo. And everyone was waiting to watch her fail. Lisa stood on her mark and tried to focus. The fake city street around her looked real enough, but the dozens of alien eyes watching her made it hard to concentrate. She could hear whispers in languages she didn't understand. Some of the crew members held small devices pointed at her. Action! Director Kane shouted from his floating chair. Lisa began the scene. She was supposed to be a woman whose husband was leaving her. She let the emotion build inside her, drawing from her years of training. Tears came to her eyes as she spoke her lines. Please don't go, she said to Jake. We can work this out. We can fix this. Jake played his part well. He looked torn between staying and leaving. I'm sorry, Sarah, I have to go. This isn't working anymore. Lisa felt the emotion take over. This was what she lived for, becoming someone else completely. She reached out to Jake with shaking hands. Don't leave me alone, please, I need you. Cut! Kane's voice boomed across the set. Lisa blinked, coming out of the scene. She wiped the tears from her cheeks and looked toward the director. Kane floated down from his chair, shaking his head. What was that supposed to be? What do you mean? Lisa asked. That noise you were making, that face contorting. Is that what humans call acting? Kane walked around her in a circle like a predator studying prey. You look like you're in physical pain. The alien crew members made those glass-breaking sounds again. Lisa realized they were laughing at her. Try it again, Kane said. But this time, try to control yourself. Less ... noise. Lisa nodded and went back to her mark. She tried the scene again, holding back some of her emotion. But when she finished, Kane looked even more disgusted. Worse, he announced. Now you look bored. Do humans have only 2 settings? Loud and boring? More laughter from the crew. Lisa felt her cheeks burn. Jake stepped toward her, but Kane waved him back. "Let's try this differently," Kane said. He pressed something on his wrist, and a hologram appeared next to Lisa. It showed a tall, graceful figure with blue skin and large eyes. This is how a real actress would play this scene. The hologram began to perform. It didn't speak words. Instead, colors flowed across its skin like living paint. Its large eyes changed from blue to purple to silver. Its movements were smooth and flowing. "Like water, you see," Kane said. "Emotional expression through bioluminescence and telepathic projection. Elegant, sophisticated. Not this primitive noise-making you humans do." Lisa stared at the hologram. It was beautiful, but she couldn't understand what emotions it was supposed to show. The colors were pretty, but they meant nothing to her. "Try to copy that," Kane ordered. I can't change colors," Lisa said quietly. "Of course you can't. You're human." Kane said the word like it tasted bad. "Your species is limited. That's why this project is so challenging. We're trying to make entertainment for evolved beings using primitive performers." The crew members started talking among themselves. Lisa caught fragments in standard galactic language. "Look at the human's face. So red. Is that normal?" "Maybe she's sick, again," Kane shouted. "And this time, try to be less human." Lisa went through the scene again, and again, and again. Each time, Kane found something wrong. Her voice was too loud. Her tears were disgusting. Her facial expressions were disturbing. The crew members grew bolder with their comments and laughter. "Take 17. Kane called out. Lisa's throat was raw from crying. Her eyes burned. Her hands shook from exhaustion. Around her, the alien crew members pointed and whispered. Some held up their recording devices, capturing every moment of her struggle. She started the scene again. "Please don't go. We can work this out." "Stop," Kane threw his hands up in the air. "This is hopeless. Completely hopeless." He turned to address the entire crew. "Look at this creature. This is what passes for talent on Earth. Watch how she leaks water from her eyes. Observe the way she contorts her facial muscles. Listen to that awful noise she makes." The crew members moved closer, studying Lisa like she was a specimen. One of them, a being with tentacles instead of arms, reached out and touched her face with a slimy appendage. "The moisture is real," it announced in a bubbling voice. "How inefficient. Why waste bodily fluids to show emotion?" "Exactly," Kane said. "Primitive beyond belief. On my world, we evolved past such crude displays millions of years ago." Lisa stood frozen in the center of the crowd. Alien faces surrounded her, staring and commenting. She felt like an animal in a zoo. Her whole body trembled with humiliation and exhaustion. "Perhaps," Kane continued, "we should replace her with a holographic projection. Even artificial intelligence has more emotional range than this primitive creature." Jake started to move forward, but two large alien security guards blocked his path. "I'm seriously considering it," Kane went on. "At least a hologram wouldn't leak fluids all over my set. And it wouldn't make those disturbing facial expressions." The crew members made approving sounds. One of them held up a recording device. "Should I post this to the Galactic Entertainment Network? Other directors would find it amusing." "Excellent idea," Kane said. "Let's show the galaxy what happens when you try to make art with humans. Maybe it will serve as a warning to other directors." Lisa wanted to run. She wanted to hide. She wanted to disappear completely, but her legs wouldn't move. She stood there as alien after alien commented on her appearance, her performance, her very existence. "Look how red her skin gets. Is that normal coloring for humans? The way she breathes so heavily, so primitive. Can all humans leak water like that?" Kane raised his hands for silence. I think we've learned all we need to know about human acting for today. Tomorrow, I'll contact the producers about getting a holographic replacement. Something with actual talent. The crew members laughed and began to disperse. But they kept their recording devices pointed at Lisa, capturing her humiliation for audiences across the galaxy. Lisa stood alone in the center of the fake city street, tears streaming down her face. She had never felt smaller or more alone in her entire life. Around her, the alien crew packed up their equipment, still making jokes about the crying human dot. She was Earth's greatest actress, but here among the stars, she was nothing more than a primitive creature putting on a show for beings who saw her as less than nothing. Jake had watched every moment of Lisa's humiliation. His hands were clenched so tight his knuckles had turned white. The alien security guards still blocked his path, but their attention had wandered as they watched the crew pack up equipment. Lisa stood alone in the center of the set, tears running down her face. Her whole body shook with exhaustion and shame. The alien crew members continued to point their recording devices at her, capturing every second of her breakdown. "Pathetic," Kane said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. "This is why humans will never be real artists. They're too emotional, too primitive, too weak." That was enough. Jake stepped around the distracted security guards. His movement was so smooth and quiet that nobody noticed at first. He walked straight across the set toward Director Kane. "Excuse me," Jake said in a calm, steady voice. Kane turned around, looking annoyed. "What do you want, human?" "We're done for today." "No," Jake said simply. "We're not done." The alien crew members stopped what they were doing. Something in Jake's voice made them pay attention. It wasn't loud or angry. It was controlled, like the calm before a storm. "You have treated my colleague with disrespect," Jake continued. His voice carried across the entire set without him having to shout. "You have humiliated her in front of your crew. You have recorded her pain for your entertainment." Kane laughed his glass-breaking laugh. "Your colleague? She's not your colleague. She's barely even an actor. She's a primitive creature making noise." "Is she?" Jake asked. He walked closer to Kane until they stood face to face. "You say humans are primitive. You say we can't really act. You say our emotions are crude and unsophisticated." "That's right," Kane said. "Any intelligent being can see that." Jake nodded. Slowly, "Then let me show you something." Without warning, Jake began to perform. He didn't announce what he was doing. He didn't ask for permission. He simply became someone else. His whole body changed. His shoulders sagged with the weight of invisible burdens. His face aged 20 years in an instant. When he spoke, his voice cracked with pain. "I had a son once," Jake said, "though these weren't lines from any script. He died in the war. I held him as he took his last breath." The alien crew members stopped moving. Something about Jake's voice made them freeze in place. "They told me he died a hero," Jake continued. "They gave me a medal. A piece of metal to replace my boy." Jake's hands trembled as he held up an invisible medal. The pain in his voice was so real that several crew members stepped back. "I used to be proud," he said. "I used to stand tall. But how can you stand tall when half your heart is buried in the ground?" Tears ran down Jake's face, but these weren't the desperate tears Lisa had cried during her scene. These were quiet tears, the kind that come from deep inside where the worst pain lives. "They want me to move on," Jake whispered. "They want me to forget." But forgetting him would be like killing him again. The set was completely silent. Even Kane had stopped talking. Jake straightened up slowly. The pain remained in his eyes, but now there was something else. Determination. "But he wouldn't want me to stop living," Jake said, his voice growing stronger. "He'd want me to honor his memory by being the man he believed I was." Jake stood tall again. The years fell away from his face. The weight lifted from his shoulders. He smiled, and it was like watching the sun come out after a storm. "So I'll carry him with me," he said. "Not as a burden, but as a gift. Every good thing I do for him. Every moment of joy I find for both of us." Jake stopped performing. He was just Jake again, standing on the set of Luna Station. But something had changed. The alien crew members stared at him with wide eyes. Several of them had tears in their own eyes, which surprised them since many of their species didn't cry. "That," Jake said quietly, looking directly at Kane, "is what human acting looks like." The tentacled crew member who had touched Lisa's face earlier moved closer to Jake. "How did you do that?" it asked in its bubbling voice. "I felt what you felt." "But you're not telepathic." "No," Jake said. "I'm not telepathic, but I don't need to be." A crew member with blue fur raised one of her 4 hands. "I don't understand. You made me feel sad for someone who never existed. How is that possible?" Jake turned to address the entire crew. "You say we're primitive because we use our faces and voices to show emotion. But think about what you just experienced." He gestured to the crew members around him. "You have telepathy. You can share thoughts and feelings directly. But to do that, you have to open your mind to someone else. You have to let them in." Several crew members nodded. "This was true. Humans can't do that," Jake continued. "We can't share our thoughts directly, so we had to learn something else. We learned to make you feel what we feel without entering your mind." The blue-furred crew member tilted her head. "I don't understand." "Watch," Jake said. He smiled, and immediately several crew members found themselves smiling back without knowing why. Then he frowned, and their faces fell. Then he looked confused, and they felt confused too. "You're controlling our emotions," the tentacled crew member said with wonder. "Without telepathy, without touching our minds." "Not controlling," Jake corrected. "Sharing. When I performed that scene about losing a son, I made you feel loss. Real loss, even though you knew it wasn't real." Kane, who had been silent during all of this, finally spoke up. "It's just trickery. Manipulation." "Is it?" Jake asked. "Your holographic actor was beautiful. The colors were lovely, but did it make you feel anything?" Kane opened his mouth to answer, then closed it again. Turned back to the crew. "This is what humans do. We take our own pain, our own joy, our own fears and hopes, and we share them with others. We make you feel things you've never felt. We help you understand experiences you've never had." Lisa, who had been watching from her spot in the center of the set, wiped the tears from her face. For the first time in hours, she stood up straight. "And that," Jake said, looking at each alien face around him, "is not primitive at all." The silence on the set stretched for a long moment. Then the blue-furred crew member with 4 arms stepped forward. Her name was Zara, and she was the chief camera operator. "Show me again," she said to Jake, "how you made us feel things." Jake looked surprised. "What do you mean?" "When you told the story about the son who died, I felt pain in my chest, real pain. But I knew the story wasn't real. How did you do that?" Other crew members gathered around. The tentacled being nodded his head. "Yes, I felt it too. Sadness that wasn't my own sadness. How is this possible without telepathy?" Jake looked at Lisa, then back at the growing crowd of aliens. "It's hard to explain. We call it empathy." "Empathy?" Zara repeated the word carefully. "It means feeling what others feel," Lisa said, stepping forward. Her voice was still shaky from crying, but she was curious now. "We humans do it naturally." A tall, thin alien with silver skin raised his hand. "But that's impossible. To feel what others feel, you must share minds. You must connect telepathically." "No," Jake said. "Watch again." He looked at Lisa and smiled. Not a fake smile, but a real one full of warmth and friendship. Lisa found herself smiling back. Then Jake looked sad, and Lisa's smile faded. Then he looked afraid, and Lisa took a step back. "You're making her copy your emotions," Zara observed. "But you're not touching her mind." "Right," Jake said. "Humans learn to read faces and voices from birth. We watch how others move their bodies. We listen to how their voices change. We see tiny changes in their eyes. All of this tells us what they're feeling." The silver-skinned alien looked confused. "But why? If you cannot share minds, why do you need to know what others feel?" Lisa stepped forward. "Because we need each other to survive. Long ago, humans lived in groups. If one person was scared, everyone needed to know why. If someone was happy, it might mean they found food or safety. So you develop this empathy. To survive?" Zara asked. "Yes," Jake said. "And over thousands of years, we got very good at it. We learned to show emotions clearly so others could understand us. We learned to read emotions so we could help each other." A small round alien rolled forward on several legs. "But what does this have to do with acting?" Jake smiled. "Everything. When I act, I use the same skills humans use every day. I show you emotions so clearly that you feel them too, even though you're not human." "That's impossible," Director Kane said, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. "Different species can't share emotions, can't they?" Lisa asked. She walked to the center of the set again. "Everyone watch me." Lisa began to cry. Not the desperate crying from before, but gentle tears of happiness. Her face lit up with joy, even as tears ran down her cheeks. Several of the alien crew members found themselves feeling happy and sad at the same time. They looked confused by their own emotions. "Those are tears of joy," Lisa explained. "I'm crying because I'm happy. Humans do this sometimes." "Impossible," the tentacled being said. "Water leaking from eyes means sadness." "Not always," Lisa said. "Watch." She changed her expression. Now she cried angry tears, her face tight with rage. Then she cried tears of fear, her eyes wide and frightened. Then tears of love, soft and gentle. "Same water," she said. "Different emotions. You can tell the difference by looking at my face, hearing my voice, watching how I move." The alien crew members looked amazed. They had never seen anything like this. Zara held up one of her 4 hands. "Let me understand. You can show any emotion just by changing your face and voice?" "And body language," Jake added. "How we stand, how we move, how we hold our hands. Everything sends signals." The silver-skinned alien shook his head. "This is why we thought you were primitive. We saw you making faces and noises, but we didn't understand you were communicating emotions." "Exactly," Lisa said. "What looks primitive to you is actually very advanced. We can make anyone feel what we're feeling without entering their mind." Zara's eyes went wide. "Do you realize what this means? Most species can only share emotions with others who have the same type of mind. But you can share emotions with anyone." "That's right," Jake said. "A human actor can make a Centaurian feel sad, a Martian feel happy, and a Venusian feel scared, all at the same time." Director Kane, who had been listening to this conversation, suddenly looked very pale. "You're saying that humans can affect the emotions of any species?" "If we're good at our job, yes," Lisa said. The round, rolling alien made excited clicking sounds. "This is incredible. You could make entertainment that works for every species in the galaxy. A movie that makes everyone cry," Zara added, "or laugh, or feel afraid." "No wonder you thought our emotional displays were crude," Jake said to Kane. "You were judging us by your own standards. But we're not trying to communicate like you do. We're doing something completely different." The tentacled being moved closer to Lisa. "Can you teach us? Can you show us how to do what you do?" Lisa looked surprised. "You want to learn human acting?" "Yes. If we could make audiences feel emotions without telepathy, We could reach so many more beings. Think of the possibilities. Other crew members began talking excitedly among themselves. They were no longer laughing at the humans. Instead, they looked at Jake and Lisa with respect and curiosity. "Wait," Kane said, his voice rising. "You're all getting carried away. These are still just primitive humans making noise and faces." But his crew wasn't listening to him anymore. They surrounded Jake and Lisa, asking questions and begging for demonstrations. "Show us anger without telepathy. How do you make fear look different from sadness? Can you teach us to cry tears of joy?" Jake looked at Lisa and smiled. She smiled back, and for the first time since arriving at Luna Station, she felt proud of being human. "We can try," Lisa said to the eager crowd. "But it takes practice. Years of practice." "We have time," Zara said. "And we have 12 different worlds full of audiences who would love to feel what you can make them feel." Director Kane stood alone at the edge of the set, watching his crew gather around the two humans he had spent the day humiliating. His face was no longer confident. Instead, he looked worried and very much alone. 3 days had passed since Jake's performance on the set. Lisa woke up in her small quarters on Luna Station to the sound of her communication device beeping urgently. She rubbed her eyes and looked at the screen. 57 messages. All from different parts of the galaxy. The first message was from her agent on Earth. His face appeared on the screen, looking excited and confused at the same time. "Lisa, what did you do out there? My communication system hasn't stopped ringing. I've got directors from 6 different worlds asking for you specifically. They're offering more money than I've ever seen. Call me back immediately." The second message was from a Martian film studio. "Miss Carter, we saw the recording of your colleague's performance. We want both of you for our next 3 projects. Name your price." Lisa sat up in bed, fully awake now. "Recording? What recording?" She scrolled through more messages. Directors from Titan, Europa, Centauri Prime, and worlds she'd never heard of, all wanting to hire human actors. All offering incredible amounts of money. Her door chimed. "Come in." She called. Jake entered, holding his own communication device. His face looked as confused as she felt. "Are you getting messages too? Dozens of them. What's happening?" Jake sat down in the chair across from her bed. "Remember those crew members who were recording everything during what Kane did to you?" Lisa's stomach tightened. "Yes. Well, they also recorded my performance and our conversation afterward about human empathy and emotional acting, and they posted it to the Galactic Entertainment Network. The whole thing. Your humiliation, my intervention, our explanation of how human emotions work." Lisa felt her face go red. The entire galaxy had seen her crying and breaking down. "Oh no." "Wait," Jake said quickly. "It's not what you think. Look at this." He handed her his device. On the screen was a discussion forum from the Centauri Entertainment Network. The thread was titled, "Human Emotional Performance, New Art Form?" Lisa read the comments with growing amazement. "I watched this 5 times. Each time, I cried at the same moment. How is this possible? Bluescale_47. My species doesn't have tear ducts, but I felt the same sadness the human female showed. Incredible. Tentacle art_prime. The male human story about losing his son made my entire clutch of eggs start crying. We don't even cry normally. Mother Queen_Vega. I study emotional manipulation for military purposes. These humans are the most skilled emotional projectors I've ever seen. Warmind_Alpha. The comments went on for thousands of pages. Beings from dozens of different worlds, all talking about how Jake and Lisa had made them feel things they'd never felt before. "This is impossible," Lisa whispered. Jake's communication device beeped. "Another message," he said, checking the screen. This one's from the Galactic Entertainment Council. The message was from Council Chairman Vortex, a being Lisa had only seen in news broadcasts. His multiple eyes looked serious as he spoke from the screen. Mr. Morrison and Miss Carter, your demonstration of human emotional projection has caused quite a stir across the galaxy. We would like to meet with you immediately to discuss the implications of your abilities. Lisa and Jake looked at each other. The Galactic Entertainment Council wants to meet with us, Lisa said. They're like the rulers of all entertainment in known space. Gets better, Jake said, scrolling through more messages. Look at this one. The message was from Dr. Mindak of the Institute for Telepathic Studies on Rigel 7. His large, wrinkled head filled the screen as he spoke. Fascinating subjects. I have studied telepathic communication for 300 years. But what you, humans, do is different. You project emotions through non-telepathic means. This should be impossible, yet you do it naturally. We must study this phenomenon. The scientific implications are staggering. Lisa's device beeped again. This message made her gasp. Jake, look at this. It's from Director Zara. Zara's blue-furred face appeared on screen. Her 4 arms gestured excitedly as she spoke. Lisa and Jake, you won't believe what's happening here on Luna Station. After our conversation 3 days ago, I tried to copy what you did. I practiced making faces like you showed me. Yesterday, I tested it on a crew of mixed species. Zara paused, her eyes wide with excitement. It worked. Not as well as when you do it, but it worked. I made a Venusian cry just by changing my facial expression. I made a Rigelian laugh without using telepathy. Other crew members are practicing too. We're all trying to learn human emotional projection, the message continued. But here's the amazing part. Word spread to other film crews. Now beings from all over the station are coming to learn from us. Directors, actors, writers, everyone wants to know how to make audiences feel emotions without telepathy. Lisa felt dizzy. They're learning from us? Other species are learning. Human acting? Jake nodded, scrolling through his own messages. It's not just Luna Station. Look at this. He showed her a news report from the Galactic Broadcasting Network. The headline read, Revolutionary art form discovered. Humans can project emotions to any species. The news anchor, a tall being with crystal-like skin, spoke in a serious tone. What started as a simple recording of on-set difficulties has become the most discussed topic in galactic entertainment. The video shows 2 human performers demonstrating what experts are calling universal emotional projection, the ability to make any being feel specific emotions without telepathic contact. The report showed clips of Jake's performance, along with analysis from various experts across the galaxy. Dr. Synthesis of Altair University explains the significance. The anchor continued. Dr. Synthesis appeared on screen, her metallic features gleaming. For millions of years, different species have been limited to sharing emotions only with beings who have similar mental structures. Telepathic species communicate with other telepaths. Chemical communicators work with others who use chemicals. But humans appear to have developed a method that transcends these barriers. The report cut to another expert. Professor Wavelength of the Communication Institute adds his perspective. Professor Wavelength looked like a living column of light. His voice resonated like music. If humans can truly project emotions to any species, it changes everything. We know about entertainment, education, even diplomacy. Imagine being able to make any being understand exactly how you feel, regardless of how their species normally communicates. Lisa turned off the device. Jake, what have we done? I think, Jake said slowly, we've shown the galaxy that humans aren't primitive at all. We're just different. Lisa's device chimed with another message. This one was from Director Kane. His face looked pale and worried as he spoke. Miss Carter, Mr. Morrison, I owe you both an apology. I have been contacted by the Galactic Entertainment Council. They are investigating my conduct on set. They are also considering sanctions against me for cultural insensitivity and professional misconduct. Kane paused, looking uncomfortable. Furthermore, my own production company has received over 1,000 requests from directors wanting to hire human actors. It appears I was wrong about your species' abilities. Very wrong. The message ended with Kane looking directly into the camera. I would like to offer you both leading roles in my next 3 productions. With full creative control and the highest pay scales in the galaxy. Lisa looked at Jake and started to laugh. Then Jake started laughing too. Soon they were both laughing. So hard they could barely breathe. 3 days ago he wanted to replace me with a hologram, Lisa gasped between laughs. Now he wants to give us creative control, Jake added, wiping tears from his eyes. Outside their window, Lisa could see ships arriving at Luna Station. More ships than she'd ever seen before. All bringing beings from across the galaxy who wanted to learn about human emotional projection. The primitive humans had become the teachers. 6 months later, Lisa stood on the stage of the newly built Galactic Academy of Emotional Arts. The massive auditorium was filled with beings from 47 different worlds. Blue-skinned Centaurians sat next to crystal-like Altarians. Floating gas clouds from the nebula systems hovered above tentacled creatures from the deep ocean worlds. All of them had come to Earth to learn from humans. Welcome to our first graduation ceremony, Lisa said into the microphone. Her voice was translated into dozens of languages and broadcast across the galaxy. In the front row, Jake sat with the other human instructors they had recruited from Earth. Next to them sat their first class of alien students, beings who had spent 6 months learning human emotional techniques. Lisa looked out at the crowd and smiled. When I first arrived at Luna Station, I thought I was just another actor looking for work. I had no idea I was about to discover something that would change the entire galaxy. Polite applause filled the auditorium. Lisa had learned that different species clapped in different ways. Some made sounds, others flashed lights, and a few released pleasant smells. 6 months ago, most of you thought humans were primitive. You saw our emotional displays as crude and unsophisticated. Today, I want to show you how far we've all come together. She gestured to the side of the stage. Our first demonstration comes from Zara of Proxima 4, who was a camera operator before joining our program. Zara walked onto the stage. Her blue fur had been carefully groomed, and her 4 arms moved with new confidence. She had been one of their best students. 6 months ago, I laughed when humans cried, Zara said. I thought their emotions were disgusting. Today, I want to share with you a story that changed my mind. Zara began to perform. She told the story of a young Proximan who left home for the first time. As she spoke, her body language changed. Her 4 arms moved in ways that showed fear, then excitement, then homesickness, then determination. The audience watched in amazement. Zara wasn't using any telepathy or bioluminescence. She was using pure human-style emotional projection. And it worked. Beings throughout the auditorium felt the same emotions the young Proximan in her story had felt. When Zara finished, the applause was thunderous. Lisa wiped tears from her eyes as she watched her former tormentor take a bow. Our next demonstration, Lisa announced, comes from someone who has learned that teaching is sometimes harder than performing. Director Kane walked onto the stage. He looked very different from the arrogant being who had humiliated Lisa 6 months ago. His blue-tinted skin seemed paler, and his green eyes showed genuine humility. I owe this academy and its founders a great debt, Kane said. 6 months ago, I was the most successful director in the Centauri system. I thought I knew everything about entertainment and art. He paused, looking directly at Lisa. I was wrong. Completely wrong. I nearly destroyed something beautiful because I was too proud to see its value. Kane began his own performance. He told the story of his fall from grace after the incident on Luna Station. How other directors had refused to work with him. How his own production company had fired him. How he had lost everything because of his prejudice against humans. But then his story changed. He told of coming to Earth, swallowing his pride, and asking Lisa and Jake to teach him. He spoke of learning to see emotion as art rather than primitive noise. His performance was raw and honest in a way that stunned the audience. "I am not a good student," Kane admitted. "My species has used telepathy for so long that using faces and voices feels clumsy. But these humans have taught me that clumsiness can be beautiful. That imperfection can be more moving than any perfect telepathic projection." When Kane finished, the silence stretched for a long moment. Then, slowly, beings throughout the auditorium began to stand and applaud. Kane had shown them something they had never seen before. A telepathic being learning to communicate like a human. Lisa returned to the microphone. "These demonstrations show us how far we can go when we work together. But tonight, I want to talk about something even more important." She gestured to a large screen behind her. The screen showed a star map of the known galaxy. 6 months ago, different species rarely worked together on entertainment projects. Telepathic species made films for telepaths. Chemical communicators created art for chemical communicators. Each species stayed within their own circles. The star map changed, showing lines connecting different worlds. Today, because of what we've learned from each other, we have joint productions happening across the galaxy. Centaurian directors working with human actors and Rigelian writers. Altarian musicians creating soundtracks for Proximum comedies starring converted telepaths. The lines on the map multiplied until the entire galaxy seemed connected by a web of light. "But this is about more than entertainment," Lisa continued. "What we've discovered is that emotions are universal. Fear, joy, love, loss, these feelings exist across all species. We just needed to learn how to share them." In the audience, a tall crystalline being stood up. "What does this mean for the future?" she asked in her musical voice. Jake stood up from his seat in the front row. "It means we're not alone anymore," he said. "For the first time in galactic history, any being can make any other being understand exactly how they feel. Think about what this could mean for diplomacy," added Dr. Wavelength, who had become one of their strongest supporters. "Imagine peace negotiations where each side can truly feel what the other side feels." "Or education," added Professor Synthesis. "Students learning history by feeling the emotions of those who lived it." "Or medicine," called out Dr. Mindak. "Helping patients express pain or healing in ways that any doctor can understand." Lisa nodded to all of them. "Exactly. We started with acting, but we've discovered something much bigger. We've found a way to connect every thinking being in the galaxy." She looked out at the mixed crowd of humans and aliens, all sitting together, all learning from each other. 6 months ago, I was humiliated because I was human. Today, I'm proud to be human. Not because we're better than anyone else, but because we're different. And our differences, when shared with respect and understanding, make us all stronger." The applause that followed seemed to shake the entire building. As the ceremony ended and beings from dozens of worlds mingled together, Lisa felt a deep satisfaction. She walked over to Jake, who was talking with a group of graduating students. "Remember when you asked me what human acting looked like?" Lisa said. Jake smiled. "Yeah. I think this is what it looks like," she said, gesturing to the crowd around them. "Not just the performance, but what comes after, the connection, the understanding, the bridge between different worlds." Outside the academy, ships from across the galaxy waited to take the new graduates home. They would return to their worlds as ambassadors of a new kind of art, an art that could make any being, anywhere, feel the full range of emotions that connected. All thinking life, humanity had found its place among the stars. Not as conquerors or traitors or diplomats, but as teachers of the heart.